Jason Bates here, owner of Electrum Financial, located right here in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, where a mortgage is not a flip of the coin. If you like the lowest rates at the lowest cost, then allow me to put my 30 years of experience to work for you. You've got nothing to lose. Here is this week's mortgage market at a glance. Last November marked the point where rates stopped surging at the fastest pace in 40 years, which is great news. However, there is still some uncertainty about what's next. While inflation has been stabilizing over the last 6 months, mixed signals in inflation data are slowing down a rapid decline in rates. The Consumer Price Index (CPI) report, which is the most closely watched inflation report, was slightly lower than the market's expectations this week. But it still has a ways to go to reach target levels. The Producer Price Index report, while not as significant, also showed that inflation is no longer a major concern. In fact, prices at the producer level decreased last month for the first time since the start of the pandemic in 2020. The market is concerned about a different type of inflation than the one indicated in the Producer Price Index. The focus is on the core services inflation, which the Fed is monitoring closely. Even though there isn't enough evidence of a decrease in this type of inflation, the market is still searching for early indications that it could happen soon. The cost of housing is one of the biggest obstacles to lowering services inflation. The Consumer Price Index tracks it through a category called Owner's Equivalent Rent, which is still high despite being lower than the peak. Traders are keeping a close eye on data that could indicate trends in inflation, as recent inflation data has been promising but not definitive. At the start of March, rates fell due to concerns about bank failures cooling demand and thereby curbing inflation. Early April data seemed to confirm this, causing rates to hit their lowest levels in 2 months. However, last Friday's jobs report and this week's retail sales report pushed rates back up. Though overall retail sales fell more than expected, investors were surprised by the resilience of consumer spending, particularly online sales. This data shows that consumers have been spending well for the past 3 months, despite the expectations that the economy would slow down. In fact, there have only been 3 other instances in the past 20 years where a similar quarter was seen before the pandemic. As a result, investors who were looking for signs of a troubled consumer will have to search elsewhere or wait for the next report. The bond market has already responded to this news with expectations of a Fed rate hike. Short-term bonds are strongly linked to the Fed rate expectations, while long-term bonds have a stronger correlation with mortgage rates. Both short-term and long-term bonds saw a decrease as a result of the latest data. The 10-year Treasury yield has been unable to stay below 3.4% since December, despite several attempts. It appeared to be improving last week, but this week, things took a turn for the worse. The current level of rates deserves respect, considering the circumstances. We find ourselves at a critical juncture between the highest range of the post-pandemic rates and the rates that are similar to the very high rates of late 2018. The mortgage market has been impacted by the exit of the Federal Reserve, which was once the largest and guaranteed buyer of newly originated mortgage debt in the market. This process, called quantitative tightening, occurred between January and August of 2022, and it had a significant impact on the relationship between mortgage rates and Treasury yields. Although the spread between the two is still large compared to recent standards, we can't expect to return to the old normal levels without the Fed's support. This week, we may not see as many reports that could have a big impact on the economy. However, bank earnings and remarks from the Fed speakers could still cause market volatility. On the bright side, the most alarming rate levels are probably in the rearview mirror unless inflation unexpectedly surges. Unfortunately, it will be challenging for rates to drop lower than last week without further data confirming a shift among consumers or inflation itself. So there you have this week's mortgage market at a glance. If you'd like to know more, reach out to me. I'd like to meet you. Thanks for watching, and if you're looking to purchase or refinance a home in Arizona, I'd like to be your broker of choice. Until next time, take care and stay safe.